All right, welcome to the Pink Boys Racing Carguments podcast. This is Cam, John, and Austin. Today our first subject is going to be first cars.
Yeah.
So what were your first cars, gentlemen?
Mine was a 1998 Trans Am WS6.
Bastard.
I know. I got lucky.
Mine was a 2004 Saturn Ion, quad coupe manual.
Ooh, fancy.
Mm-hmm.
98 Explorer. I got it with 232,000 miles on it.
Very nice.
Four-wheel drive. It was the XLT, bright red. Friends call it the extra large tomato.
How long did you have your first car?
Technically, I had it for 3 years. 3 years. The family owned the car for 5. I drove it for 3.
Okay.
I got it as soon as I turned 16. Parents basically went, get the hell out of the house. Got me my license as soon as possible.
Nice.
Drove that thing for a long time, and I had it through 2 other cars, but I always had the Explorer until recently.
Okay.
What about you? How long do you have your first one?
I had it for about 2 years, and then I had to sell it to go pay for college.
Wow.
I love college. How about you, John?
I had mine for about a year. I bought it from my big sister for $1,400,
Very
Not bad.
nice.
which
Not bad.
120,000 miles. 2004 was a steal.
That was the shit then, huh?
Yeah, it was.
Oh, yeah. Did you go straight into another car right after that, or did you just buy a second car? Did you flip and say, here was my first car, and you bought a second car to go with it, or did you sell it and buy another one?
For me, I sold it and bought another one.
For me, I had the Explorer, and I had it for about a year and a half, and yay, I can carry my friends around, but I wanted something fast.
Yeah.
My grandpa used to tell me how he had a Ford Probe when they were brand new. He had a 94 Ford Probe.
That's what I'm talking
So,
about. Hot rod.
So
actually looked into
my
this.
ex-girlfriend's dad owned a car lot. And I don't know why, but I just was on this probe fix, and I'm like, you know what, I want a probe. And I looked on his website. Sure enough, he had a 96 baby blue 5-speed V6 Ford Probe
Nice.
for $2,500 with 110,000 miles on it. And I'm like, and I was able to talk him down to $2,000. And I'm like, you know what, $2,000 for 110,000 mile V6 car? It's a Mazda engine. It's got to be good, right? No.
Let down.
John's looking up probes. You'll probably find mine in a junkyard somewhere. But no, thank God I had the Explorer through owning that car, because about 2 months after owning the Probe, I found out there was low compression on all cylinders.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Lowest compression on cylinder 5 was 70.
Oh.
Yeah. And yet it still was fairly quick. I outpulled a Celica GT on the highway.
Wow.
So however quick you want to call that.
Rocket ship.
But then I traded the Probe for an F-150 that was also garbage. But it was lifted, and so it was cool.
It was fancy.
Yeah. Lifted. First day I had it, we went and bought a giant tarp from a hardware store and made a pool in the bed of it.
Nice.
Redneck swimming pool. We drove around town and picked up all our friends. But no, I had the Explorer through all that. Eventually sold the F-150, went back to driving the Explorer until winter 2014 through into January 2015 when it started dying at around 260,000 miles.
Boy.
Yeah, it'd been through a lot with me. Couple road trips, lots of to and from school, stuff like that. But it got to the point where it was so bad, it occasionally decided it wanted to be a 4-cylinder instead of a 6.
That's exciting.
Yeah, exciting is a word for it. Then I traded that for $450 to cover plates and tags on my credit card.
Nice.
What about you? What happened to your guys' first cars?
I sold it to pay for college and took some of the money that I made off that and bought my Crown Vic. And that was my full-on first car, technically, legally my full first car. And I've had that for 3 years now.
And it's still slower than my Miata.
I know. I love it. It's gutless. It has no power, but it sure is fun being
Well, it
rear-wheel
has
drive.
power, but it just has weight.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
It's what,
true.
4,200 pounds at least? I think.
Compared to my 23,
260 horsepower if I'm lucky.
compared to my 140,
But it has
if I'm
like-
lucky.
It has like 300 foot-pounds of torque, I think.
That's true. Mine has like 9.
It's a fun thing in the winter. What about you, John?
Well, mine, I had mine for about a year. Had bought it from my sister and did some mods to it, like painted interior pieces, put a new stereo in it, and then my biggest one was like a $400 like upgraded brakes. Like
I did that too.
Yeah.
Full Brembos.
Oh yeah,
Taking
yeah,
the Saturn to the track day.
yeah. The
Bro.
full stop tech Brembos with drilled and slotted rotors.
Hey, I did the drilled and slotted rotors in my car because they're cheaper than doing anything
Yeah,
else.
yeah.
The cheap Summit drilled and slotted rotors, and they actually hold pretty well.
Yeah.
I warped the stock rotors in a matter of 6 months on that thing.
My rotors.
You're the
were
kind of
working.
driver mothers hate.
I'm really
There's
not
this-
so.
There's the stoplight and brake.
No, it was from aggressive driving practices at the drag strip and a little bit of autocross and stuff.
Oh yeah, you autocrossed your first car?
Yeah.
Uh,
I autocrossed the Trans Am. I autocrossed the Crown Vic.
I really unfortunately haven't gotten into autocross until this year, but
Yeah.
I've gone to 3 of them and a track day.
I love
So
driving. Even though it's a boat, it really doesn't have all that much body roll if you consider what it is. And
true, and especially once you get that thing on coilovers like you're planning, that thing will be.
yeah, I'm hoping. I just can't seem to come to feasible with the whole $1,500 for a pair or full round of coilovers.
That's not bad at all.
It's
Big car problems.
well, not just that. It's car numping mods problems.
Anyways, what ended up happening with your first car?
Well, it was just not inspired. It was it's a Cobalt underneath, so
Right.
it is very uninspiring.
Yeah.
2.2 liter Ecotec with like 140 horsepower. So
Well, they were decent economy cars.
Yeah, like-
Probably what, got
you
30
probably
miles an
got
yeah,
you probably got around for 2 weeks on half a tank of gas.
yes. Well, no, because I drove like a moron. No, it was just a very
Didn't we all? I was the opposite way around in the Explorer. I had to make $25 a week last all week, which
Just
I
driving
drove
your
the
big
first
toe.
3 years of my life on eggshells.
That's one thing that I was actually kind of glad to get out of the Trans Am for because I went from having premium and getting. Actually, I got better miles per gallon in the Trans Am, but I had premium gas and I drove for a
It gets
while
expensive.
there. For a while there, I drove from Laco all the way to Walker, which is about an hour drive
Yeah.
one way. I did that 2 times a day.
Jeez.
So I'd go through at least a quarter
Well,
tank of gas a day.
When the Explorer started to die on me, I was working out in Holland, which is 45 to an hour one way.
yeah,
Just
exactly.
based how much traffic there was, but that got expensive.
It really does too.
Mhm.
I was putting aside damn near $50 a week just to get back and forth to work.
That was time as well. That main time was when gas was about $4.5
Yeah.
$4.50 a gallon for
Mhm.
premium. I was like, so
Especially in the winter when the highways are stop and go. you just-
that's lucky. As
I remember one day going to work, staring at my gas needle, willing more fuel into the tank.
I got lucky. I never had to drive the Trans Am in the winter
Yeah, well,
because me and my dad worked together at the Tool and Die shop.
I had
so-
4-wheel drive and I already had some rust, so I didn't really care. I remember trying to drift that thing back when I worked at a fast food restaurant. To get to employee parking, you kind of had to go around the back through the drive-through.
Yeah.
And I remember in the winter, every day I worked, I'd drift through the drive-through as best as I could.
Nice.
And I knew I was doing a good job when I started setting off the alarm, and when I came inside, they go, "Was that you again?" Maybe.
I remember one time, I just got out of that tool and die job, but I think it was like a year or two ago. Excuse me. I was in the Crown Vic, and I was there at work really early. And we had a pretty decent, probably about a football field in the backyard or in the back lot of just straight empty space, empty asphalt for parking and whatever, moving for semis and stuff, for unloading semis and loading them out for dyes and stuff. But so we had a big open spot, and it's fun because it's a big loop basically. It's completely connected around it, but it's its own like lot, so it goes around the whole building. So I came in, and I was freaking hauling down the back straight, and I ripped it and slid the whole thing. It was like one of those fresh snows, so there was no tracks back there. And
That's the best.
I got in, and the shop foreman came to me. He was like, "Are those your marks out?" And I was like,
Nah.
Yeah.
It's like, "No."
No.
It was, well, we got that on camera. They go, "Well, can I see it?" He's
Can
like,
I get a copy?
And that was one of the things where I got lucky that his kids were into go-kart, like shifter kart racing.
Oh, nice. Always wanted to drive.
A buddy of mine that works there, that I worked with, I met through there. He was a national champion kart racer.
Woo.
Yeah.
You still got the hookups? Let's go kart racing.
Right. He just got out of it a couple years ago. He went into like the older, I want to say like the 40s Ford style 4-cylinder midget kind of cars.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
He went into that and kind of just dropped out of it. He said, I'm done racing basically. And
I don't know if I could ever be done racing.
Yeah.
I plan on dying racing.
he likes racing, but it was one of those things where they dumped so much money into the car that he just didn't feel like willing enough to like. It was one of those things where he was too scared to wreck it just because
There's
pretty
so
much
much
put
money into the
everything
car.
into it.
If you
Yeah.
wreck
So-
it, you lose everything.
He didn't have that whole balls out mentality, and he didn't.
That's why it's nice to start in like
Lemons or
lemons or circle
Yeah,
track
we should
racing,
start in
because you
cars.
can build a car
Yeah.
for not very much money, and if you break it, you just
Right.
fix it. There's not much to them.
Yeah. I guess the other thing is that when you had your first car, were you hanging around the car lot at all?
I really wasn't. I honestly wasn't really into cars that much. I knew I liked them. I liked being around them.
You just weren't like,
But
oh my gosh.
I thought lots of cars were cool and stuff like that. But I never ended up going to meets or anything like that.
Yeah.
I didn't really have anything to show off. What's the point? I've got
Yeah.
a fair, it wasn't super rusty. Rear quarter panel,
Yeah.
not that bad, but it wasn't anything to show off.
Right.
I'd talked about or joked about with my friends, doing mods to it. Like I pissed my one friend off so bad because I told him I was gonna slam it to the ground, put a big old wing on the back of it. He told me he'd unfriend me.
That'd be fun.
Just never talk to me again.
I'd do it just for laughs.
But that was my thinking too. He told me, well, you'd have to do so much, make it rear wheel drive, this, that, the other thing. You couldn't make it that low with it being 4-wheel drive. I'm like, I will find a way. I will cut, hack, and saw my way to it.
Something.
Never did, but
It's one of those things. It's one of those. If I kept it long enough, it'd be stupid now.
yeah, right. I might do something like that with the Corolla.
It's like one of those things. Like I was just thinking, the other day, sitting out at the car lot and I'm hanging around the car lot. It's one of those things where you're out at the car group and you feel completely different about your car because you see everything else. I was there. I'm out driving around and it's just me, or if it's just us, because we all have equally slow cars basically.
Yeah.
So I was out there.
Equally.
We're all within, that 15-second quarter mile mark. So
Yeah.
I might be on the high end, you might be on the low end. We're all in there.
Hold on, who will be?
But
I don't know what you're talking about. Mine's a 10-second Miata.
It's a 2J Miata.
But
Dude, that thing blew its rear diff out.
Yeah.
It blew the whole rear end out.
Oh really?
Yeah, he's still got it on sale. It bent frame blown out.
Wow.
And he's still trying to get like 11,000 out of it.
Well, that engine is worth
Yeah,
almost
well,
all that.
I know.
No, it's not. That's like a. I don't want to.
I don't know how much 2Js go
They're-
for it, but I
they're-
doubt they go for
they-
11.
they don't go for 11.
I bet
It's
you could
maybe
probably-
a $2,500 motor.
I bet you could probably get one pretty grand with decent build. But no, but like what I was getting at is that, you know, when I'm out driving around and it's just me, I love my cars. It's
Yeah,
everything.
absolutely.
But yet, like you show up and you go to like the car hangout and you're surrounded by everything and you're like, oh well, I want to make it
Yeah,
faster.
well, like
It's
that happened to me just today. I mean, I was at work. We're slow as hell, so I'm sitting out back, and I'm just looking at my car or on my phone or whatever, and I look at it and I hear, damn, I've got a cool car. You know, I
Right.
love the way my car looks. But then we go out to car meet or something like that, and you've got RX-7s hanging out. We've got, you know, LS2, S2000s.
That nice Mark IV
and
Supra that came through
that
last
Supra
night.
came
Oh,
through.
yeah,
We've got all these old muscle cars and everything, and I'm going,
Wow. I
damn,
got
my
15
car
seconds.
sucks, you
Right,
know?
Yeah, I know. It's just it's kind of funny how like the being around the group actually changes the whole mentality of how you feel, and
Yeah.
it's funny because like then you go look up and you're willing to spend your last dollar that you have just to make your car that much cooler.
Mhm.
But then it's like, well then who are you actually doing that coolness for? Are you doing it for you, or are you doing it for the approval of the group?
I think it's a little bit of both because obviously, you know, we want our cars to be
Right.
cooler, but we gotta. I have to tell myself because, you know, with my car, everyone says, you know, put a turbo in it, put a
Right,
turbo, on it,
yeah.
put a turbo on it, and I know you're putting a turbo on your Miata, which you're very excited for.
Put a
But-
turbo. Yes.
I always wanted to do a supercharger on it.
Yeah.
I've seen a couple supercharged Miatas. I think they're badass.
They work. I like the supercharger aspect of it too, but you know, it's hard. You know, it's a cop car. You know what I mean? Like, I never had that. When I first got my car, I went from the Trans Am to the cop car,
Hmm.
and it had steel wheels that looked just like a cop. I didn't want to go Sonic in it. I literally did not. I felt embarrassed. It was one of those things. It took me a while. I wouldn't go there until I put the wheels on it. So I got myself 17-inch wheels a month after I got. But they're the same size as the tires that are already on there, so I could just swap
Yeah,
them
you would have
over.
pulled out to Sonic in the cop car, and
Right.
everyone would have gone, "Oh."
Literally the day I
shit."
got my wheels was the first day I went to Sonic in that, and that was like a month, almost 2-3 months after I got the car. So I didn't go to Sonic unless I was in the Trans Am that, you know, because I sold to my dad. So if it wasn't in the Trans Am or in the Corvette, I didn't go to Sonic. But I finally got wheels, and then, but it's funny because after a while I built up confidence. I said, you know, it's the cop car, nobody likes them. I'm kind of like the outcast of everything. Nobody really
What I would
likes
have
my
done is I
car.
would have just sat in the back where the actual cops sit
Right.
and just troll people.
That'd be
Anytime somebody gets on it going up the back road, just haul ass after them.
Kind of like I did with that Mustang yesterday. It's scary.
That would have been awesome. What about you, John? How do you feel about hanging out around car meets with your car? Or like when you had your first car?
Yeah. Well, my first, like when I got my first car, like I was like you, like before I had my first car, it was like, oh, I like cars and I think they're cool, and then I got my first car, and then it was like, okay, like I love cars, and then you start modifying them, and then I actually had a hard time like trying to find like. I didn't know about Sonic until the end of last year.
Yeah.
This is when I got my Miata.
Mine was like middle of last summer.
Yeah, well, it was when because like a Saturn Ion, nobody comes in and be like, hey, that's a cool Ion. When I got my Miata, like a week after I had it, a guy came up and was like, hey, there's like a meet over at this place every Friday, and I was like, well, it's like the middle of fall, so I guess I'll go next year. But
Yeah.
like, I mean, you see like Greg's Miata or the red turbo one that's in there, and like. I'm with mine and like I have my Civic wheels and I'm like, oh yeah, like mine's cool, but there's this one that's this far up the ground and has a turbo and it's super cool. But yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to build your car to you because depending on who you hang out with, kind of depends on what you want. It's weird. Anyways, I think we're going to be wrapping up our first segment of the Carguments podcast. Not that there was a whole lot of arguing this episode, but trust me, it'll come.
We get
Thank you for joining us.
Hope you enjoy.
Yeah.
Leave us a
Welcome to
message, leave
Big
us
Boys.
a comment. Let us know if you have any suggestions on what you want us to talk about next.
Yeah. And obviously, if you like us, subscribe.
All
We'll be those guys.
right, thank you.
All right. Thank you.